Yo, I've got a MacAllister pressure washer. There it is there. Cheap thing from B&Q. But ever since I've had it, this gun here, this handle itself, the actual trigger is really stiff to hold for any length of time. So what I thought I'd do is open it up and just see if I can loosen it a little bit. Maybe remove a spring or make the spring, less extreme, because you actually get cramped by holding this for any period of time. But it's not a bad washer, especially since you can actually use Bosch parts. So I'll show you those a bit later on. So if you do want to replace this, which is what I've done, is I've replaced the whole gun trigger assembly here with a Bosch part, which has actually kind of solved the issue. But I thought I'd open this up just in case anyone fancies seeing if they can do it. It's just some basic screws, so we'll get it open and see what we find inside. Right. Okay, is it going to come apart gracefully? Hoping so. A couple of these have started to rust, these screws, so that's a bit of a shame, but still get to them okay. Is it going to explode in a mountain of springs and various bits? No, it's coming apart. Just need to loosen a few more. Ah, there we go. Right, okay, that's come off. Right. Okay, so I don't have any external springs by the look of it. So that's a shame. I was expecting to see another type of spring up here which I could have removed, or one down here perhaps, but it looks like the only spring is actually inside the body. So that means I can't do any retrofitting on this one to, make it less stiff. So, well, at least we know, not worth opening it. And of course, at least we know we can replace it, which is what I've done. But so there we go. Saves you having the need to open it. But what we've got here is water in at the bottom. Comes up under pressure, and there's a spring in here. As soon as you press this, it opens the plunger and allows the water to go through. It's got a bit of grease on there, but yeah, not any ways that I can see to make this much easier to hold open. It just seems to be spring inside, no other extra springs to remove. So if I just loosen that one, that comes away, look, and you can actually see the spring in here. There it is. God, yeah, that is a monster spring. It doesn't need to be that firm. I guess it has to be a certain pressure to switch off the water. But, if you can find something that would fit in there, that might be better. But, yeah, there's not much to it, is there? So, that's just a plunger, as you can see. There's your stopper, I guess. Like your pin. It all just kind of goes together. Couple of seals here and there, so if you do need to replace them because they're leaking, you can replace these seals. It just goes in there, look. Getting grease everywhere, lovely. And that just goes on there. So yeah, I'll have a look in my various bits and pieces. If I have a spring, I can replace it. You need something that's obviously strong enough to turn the water off under pressure, but not too severe to do your wrist in when in use. Also, notice how small that hole is. That's where the water goes through. Not only that, there's no hole at the end here. The water literally comes through these two side holes here, look. So, just goes to show how much pressure is coming through those. Because, that's a fairly decent size. You'd expect that. Kind of matches what's like the input there, but yeah, that is really reduced down, and then to come out of the sideways holes, pretty crazy. And then yeah, obviously in there it just opens back up again. But natty. Well, I've got to spend the next 10 minutes now putting that back together. Joy. By the way, the quick release, not much to that. Look, you just push your hose in there, and all that does is just open up the jaws to allow you to remove the hose. So it's like a little clamp and a release mechanism all in one. Nice and straightforward, nice and simple. And indeed the locking mechanism, not much to that, it's just like a little keyed pin, and when pushed in that will lock in with that bar there, that kind of piece of plastic, and then when you remove it, it allows the trigger to move like that. So fairly straightforward. It'd be nice actually if you could trigger it on and then lock it into position so that you could keep it on for a bit, but yeah, I guess for safety, not available. Maybe I can retrofit that. We'll see. By the way, a little hack I just have thought of, if I really wanted to keep the trigger in position, there's a little recess here, look, you could probably jam something in there, piece of wood, and that would keep it on to save the wrist. But you know, there we go. May help someone in future. So here you can see this is the Bosch. They're called SDS Quick Connect fittings. So that's how this one looks. And that obviously goes into there. And what I've done is, as you can see here, I've actually replaced the lance, because you can see it's got the blue colours that matches the MacAllister unit. And what I've done is I've actually replaced the trigger assembly. So there's the MacAllister and there's the Bosch, and even though this one fits in a slightly different position, the fitting is actually the same. And this is a much nicer ergonomic handle with less of a stiff spring, so that's actually a lot easier to use for extended periods. So if you're doing the patio, for instance, cleaning the patio, using this was just horrendous. The amount of ache you get from your wrist is terrible, where this one is much nicer. Is there a model number on here? It's got PA66300F on there. That might help, but it's a standard fitment for all of the Aquatak models and some others as well. So I'll list out what other ones it should work on, but I certainly recommend, if you ever need any bits for that one, MacAllister, certainly this one here works with Bosch parts. By the way, with this handle here, not only do you get slightly better plastics, etc., but if you can notice, you can actually twist this barrel here. And what that means you can do is you can actually rotate this, you can rotate the angle of this spray without having to actually turn the whole thing. You can just rotate that. So it's a really good system. And I've actually bought the adjustable fan nozzle at the end as well, because the MacAllister only came with, I think it was like a pin jet. But it's great for doing patios, but if you want to clean your car, it's not the best thing to use. You want something like this where you can turn the spray into a fan. So that's a generic one as well. But if you notice this one here, that has that fitting, which again, Bosch will use. So if you do need to buy any bits, just look for that type of fitting. It's a Bosch fitting. Sorry, it's not focusing. Let's try that a bit better. There we go. So you can see it's just kind of got that end to it, and that will go in there. It goes in one way up. There's your little tab which lines up into that hole, clips into place. So that was another good feature. So yeah, when you think about it, I bought other bits and pieces for this, so it's been a cheap washer, and I've already spent, a Bosch handle, new one of these, because the one that came with it kinked terribly. You can see that's Bosch. But the one that came out of the box was really bad. Should have bought Bosch in the first place, or another brand, but it's not bad. It was cheap. It's 100 bar, so it's not too bad. It's a good few years old now, and it's still going, so I thought I'd just get some bits, and if it does go, I'll just buy a Bosch, because I've already got the bits. But there we go. I thought I would just show you that one. Nice quick video, just to see if it was worth replacing this. Ultimately, though, it's good to know that you can use a Bosch. So, thanks for watching.